Hi there, my name's Tercy Engelhardt, and I would like to welcome you to the Unreasonably Grateful podcast, Living in Grace by Choice. And if you're returning, welcome back. If you're here for the very first time, welcome. If you've looked at the description of this podcast at all, you'll see that it says you matter. Your presence matters. You being here matters. And I want to let you know that I'm grateful that you're here and I look forward to sharing more with you. And I'd also love to hear from you as well. So I'm in this process of learning something new called Substack. And I recorded earlier about keeping yourselves learning, stretching outside of what you're familiar with, and learning something new keeps you alert and present, which is where all the goodies are in life anyway. And it's just like when you go to a restaurant for the very first time, it's all new. You look around, you're taking in more, you're not quite sure where to stand. Does a host or hostess seat you, or do you seat yourself? Like all this information is being processed by you. And then after you've been there once, even, you walk in like, oh, I know how this is. Well, we do that in all areas of life. And so that's why I say keep yourself growing and learning outside of your comfort zone because it has you be more alive, more present, more alert, paying more attention. So, along those lines, learning Substack, I'm still figuring out audio and the chat and the comments and how it all works. And so I want to invite you. You can participate in the comments below and create a conversation between yourselves, and I'll share as well. And also, you can go to the chat section and I'll reply there. So if you have a question or you want a little bit more to know a little bit more about something that's shared or something you'd love for me to share about, given that I have had some experience with it, I'd be happy to do that. So I'd love to have you participate. And then I offer sessions on Tuesdays where I get to sit as an elder. It's something I love doing as a part of being an elder in a community and share with you what I see and what I hear, which always is encouraging and inspiring and perhaps will help you take the next step in your journey. So, to let you know that those things are available. And as I learn how to navigate more on this new platform, I'll share more with you what's become available. All right. Right now, the fires are still only partially contained in Los Angeles. Now, it's impacted our business in a big way. It's also impacted a lot of people's lives. Some people have lost everything, other people were spared. Some people just weren't in the area of the fires. And we know people in all of those scenarios and situations. And the title of this particular episode is Have Empathy for the Loss and Celebration for the Win. And I was talking to a sweet friend of mine, even just this morning, about the amount of healing that becomes available when we can celebrate somebody else's win, even if we're experiencing a loss. So we can, if we're not involved in the situation like the fires, we can be empathetic, helpful, look at how we can contribute to those that have lost a lot. That's the developing empathy. That's the feeling perhaps what other people are feeling without actually going through it yourself. Or in the Native American tradition, it's like walking a mile in somebody else's moccasins. It's how do we relate to what someone else's experience might be, even though we may not be directly impacted? Well, something that life's taught me is we may not be directly impacted now, but we may well have that same or similar experience at another time in our life. Oftentimes, when I look back at my situation, I can see how something I went through has helped me contribute or make a difference in someone else's life 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years later. And I've heard other people share that as well. That's empathy. That's being able to put ourselves in another person's position and be there with them and for them without having to fix or change or even advise, just to be with someone. So that's a big part of our healing process. And when I talk about the healing process, one of the things I've been working on is my about page on my Substack website. And I keep listening for the inner guidance that's guided me so beautifully throughout my lifetime. And while I speak about healing and I speak about addiction, I want to be clear that I'm talking about people who are committed to and stepping into living without the addiction, not actively addicts. Now, you may be an active addict, and something I say helps inspire you to take those first steps. Awesome. Great. I'm excited for you. But really, the gift that I have is supporting people in bridging that gap from who they were to who they were actually created to be, from leaving behind the alternate lifestyle that I often define as addicts. I believe are extraordinary people, and they've created this alternate life to avoid being responsible for their greatness. And I believe that. I believe that. I've seen it, I've felt it, I've experienced it. And an addict is someone who lets anything get in the way of them being able to be a love presence, of them being able to let that unconditional love that's accessible to all of us all of the time flow through us. Now, that may sound like pie in the sky, but most of you probably have had that experience, or you've been around someone that you've experienced it in and through them. And you know it's available. There's this quest, there's this desire, there's this seeking that's deep inside of you that's about opening up to more love, being kinder, more generous, more forgiving, more empathetic, having a greater ability to, even if you're sitting in the midst of a loss, a greater ability to celebrate somebody else's win. That is a big step in the process of healing ourselves, of being on the healing journey. So that's what I'd love for you to work on this week. And every week I end with, let's work on this week. That's why at the top of my newsletter, it says, let's work together. I believe we're on this journey together. We're all discovering more of how divinely we were created. And we're pieces of one another's puzzles. Those people that are in your life aren't there by a mistake. I believe that they're purposely placed because your pieces, the solutions, the answers, the quest of your life is somehow connected to them. I read a quote on social media not long ago that talked about the dance globe that's all broken pieces of glass. And yet, when it's put together as that beautiful ball of light and sparkle, that's the piecing together of the shattered pieces. And I believe our life is like that. I believe that throughout life, there are shattered pieces of our divinely created being scattered about, and the healing process of gathering them up and putting them back together again, or putting them together for the first time and really seeing and experiencing who you are as a divinely created being. Again, this week, let's work on developing empathy for loss, our own loss, the loss of others. I've created a prayer list that I'm hanging up, and I'm adding names to it so that I'm consciously praying for the people who are going through a challenging time right now. And then celebrating the wins, and create a list of people who are experiencing wins and consciously celebrate those wins, be glad for them. And that combination will be an amazing part of your own journey. Okay, so let's do that this week. And I'll be here next week. And I look forward to seeing you then. Have a beautiful, beautiful week.